Welcome to the Unfiltered Beertales show. I am your host, Quentin, but you all can call me Q. And today's topic is, why the fuck did I move so much? Like, seriously, I moved a shit ton from the fact when I was just a little kid all the way up into my adult years. So first things first, grab your favorite beverage or continuing doing whatever the fuck it is that you're doing. Cleaning, sweeping, fucking working out in the garage, working out, doing whatever it is. Just fucking do whatever you like. But I'm going to open up myself a crisp, cold Budweiser. Back to the beer it is, folks. Oh, yeah. There we go. So, moved a lot as a kid. Lots of reasons behind it. But the first thing that I want to talk about, my first move, is how I went from my small hometown, which basically, if you've seen any Hallmark movie of, like, you know, in the winter time that it's like, or any, like, during the summertime, it's like, oh, let's just move to a small, quiet, little backwoods country town where they just have the small town with the townhouse, the post office, and maybe a convenience store. And you got to drive at least 15 minutes to the nearest quote-unquote big town / city. That's pretty much what my hometown is that we have a post office, we have an elementary school, we have one church, we have a town hall, and we have a convenience store. And for some time, it wasn't actually being able to sell gas because the pumps weren't working, and then they got them fixed up. So now have gas and don't have to drive 15 minutes to go and get gas. Ooh, it's been a minute since having a beer. But going from this small town to my comparison of growing up, and it was really like a big city. Like in comparison would be from my little tiny small town, as I described, to like moving to the Big Apple, and to put it in perspective is like what it felt like. Now, as a kid, traveled to this town because this was the nearest biggest town, which, you know, us small town people joked about calling it like, oh yeah, we're going to go into the city, when in reality it's just, you know, a more upscale big town with actually like a Walmart, Shaw's, couple of convenience stores and other like retail stores like for clothing and staples, and an actual liquor store, and like a handful of gas stations and quite a few different restaurants. I mean, nothing fancy, just your typical Burger King, McDonald's, and Applebee's 99, and then some small local owned restaurants that usually really don't last all that long. But yeah, so it was kind of scary at first. The reason behind moving was because I had started my job at the towing company, where I was informed that by the owner of the company that before snow hit the ground that you either got to move closer to town or find a new job. So I was like, "Ooh, all right, well, I guess I'll move to keep my job because I love my job." So with the moving process on that, it was I rented a truck from our company because we also did rented out Penske trucks as one of our things that we offered in our location, on top of it being a big truck garage and also a location out for towing. So I rented a big I think it was a 26 foot box truck, which I didn't really need that much because all I had was a bed, a dresser, and I think 2 totes. Oh, and my desk for my computer, and an office chair, and a box fan. I think that's all that I really had. So loaded everything up into this ginormous fucking box truck and drove half an hour to what we would consider the big city, getting to this apartment, and then realizing that I couldn't like get the truck right up to the door of my apartment. So I had to park on the opposite side of the building in the parking lot, across the driveway from where the apartment building was, and had to lug all my stuff from there out and around through the doorway into my apartment. So that was pretty interesting. And how I ended up finding this apartment was actually, believe it or not, on Facebook Marketplace. It didn't take long. I just happened to be looking through there, saw a studio apartment. The rent was $650 a month, everything included, and I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. Checked it out and everything. I thought it was amazing, you know, first time ever getting my own apartment. And being in the city, you know, quote unquote, so I was all gung-ho and excited for it. But regardless, it still had its flaws being a tiny studio apartment where it was. The building used to be an old veterinarian clinic, and where my room was, my apartment was actually like 3/4 of the apartment used to be an outside porch that was like kind of screened off. So, and they had converted it actually into a closed off room. So the main part of the studio apartment was slanted because of the foundation, because the building was so old, and it didn't keep heating during the wintertime, and my heat gave out in the wintertime, and got a hold of my landlord, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll take care of it, don't you worry about it. Well, for a good month and a half, had no heat. I had to open up the oven, turn the oven on, and put my box fan in front of my oven to pull the heat out of my oven just to heat up my apartment. And I kept on all my layers from my job at the towing company, which was long johns, well, thick underwear, long johns, 2 pairs of socks, my work pants, a tank top, long sleeve shirt, and then my work shirt and my work pants. And I always had a sweatshirt on in the apartment, on top of wearing a winter beanie. I mean, it was terrible. Like, it did not hold heat whatsoever. And it got to the point that I had to open up the door, droop towels over the door all the way around it, and then close it, and then like push up even more towels and blankets around the edging of the door. And I even tacked up a thick, heavy wool blanket in front of the doorway and had it as tight as I could over the door to keep the draft from going out of the door to outside, just to try to keep what little heat I had in the apartment inside. But some of the good things is that the internet was fantastic. Being right on Main Street in town, right down the road from the internet provider, I mean, no issues. Didn't have to worry about any buffering or lag. Or I could watch my shows without any issue. I could play online games without any issues. I could download huge games onto my computer in the matter of minutes. And and delivery. Oh, geez, didn't have that in the hometown. The only delivery that you had would be if you went out into the backwoods and shot something and then brought it home. Like that was the only kind of delivery that we got around here. So being in the city, being able to plan it out, being like, yeah, I'm getting done work about, say 6 o'clock. So I'll order for a pizza to be delivered to my apartment for 6:30. And that's about the time that I'd get home. And by the time I'd get home, be right there on my doorstep, and then just walk right in and then start having dinner. Didn't have to worry about anything. But, and transitioning over into what I ate, being a single guy on his own and also working 24/7, I didn't really have much time for cooking. So it was either takeout crap, or any times that I did cook anything, which I cooked this one meal in a mass amount, which was ramen and hot dogs. I would cook a shit ton of it over the weekend and put it into Tupperware containers and then freeze it in my freezer. And then whenever I was ready to have some, I would take it out either that morning or whatever, or the night before, and then throw it in the microwave, and there we go. That was my breakfast, lunch, and dinner for quite some time. I mean, it wasn't really the best tasting. I mean, it was a lot of freaking sodium, and God, it was rough. It was certainly rough. But then after doing that for a couple of years, I ended up deciding to move back in with my parents, with what I had made a deal with my parents that was either going to take over the house so that way they didn't have to worry about any of it, or that I was going to actually buy a portion of the land on the back side of the property and start building either my own house, or which I was actually thinking was to build a decent sized 2-bay garage with an apartment style over the top of it. So that way I could live there and also have a garage to be able to do crap in and everything. Because from my towing job, I like detailing cars and everything. So thought about maybe, in the future when I'm older or something, or can actually make it happen, that I'd do that. But so as of right now, just trying to really more so renovate the house to appease my parents, because they're getting up there in age. I mean, they're getting pretty old. And being back in the hometown, the internet sucks. There ain't no delivery. But, and like, where I had moved to is considered a big city. The nearest, like, big town, like actual decent sized town that does have a grocery store and 2 gas stations and a truck stop, a hardware store, and a Dollar General and a Family Dollar / Dollar Tree is like 15 minutes down the road from me. So it's like, it's ridiculous. Like, I got to drive at least 15 minutes just to get groceries, or drive a half an hour, 45 minutes to go get anything. Like, more so from Walmart, I got to drive a half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on weather and traffic, just to go to Walmart. I mean, it's insane. And a question that has always been in the back of my mind, and some people that have asked me, is like, would I ever truly fully move out of my hometown into like the big city? Like, oh, I'm just going to save up a couple of grand and then I'm just going to go move out to New York and make it in the big city, No, I don't think I'd ever do that. Because in honesty, you can't walk out your front door and pee off your porch. You can't do that in the city. You can do that in a small hometown, my small hometown. You can walk out in the backyard and just give you a buck ass naked because nobody can see you from the road. You could do just about anything. And in my hometown, there ain't fucking like building codes or zoning or any shit like that. So if I wanted to build a shed, I could. I don't have to go down to, the town hall and be like, please, may I build just a simple, 5x8 shed just for utility crap for like my rakes, my lawnmower, just to, store it for the winter. Oh, well, we got to do a land survey. We got to check out the topsoil, the bottom soil, the middle soil. We got to make sure it's not like going to mess up the environment, or, that it's, well, we also got to get a contractor involved and make sure that's going to be built to code and everything. And like, do you plan on having electrical? It's like, I don't know, maybe I'll just run an extension cord. Well, we can't be having that because that's fire hazard and that goes against your homeowners association group, hoopla shit. It's like, I don't want to deal with any of that shit. I really don't. If I want to build a shed, I'm just going to go build a shed. And if for any reason they ask about it, just be like, well, it just grew overnight, I guess. I planted a shed seed and there we go. Next morning it was there. I don't know what else to tell you. The other thing is, there's not like, you don't got to worry about anything. The only thing I got to worry about is running into an animal. Or occasionally some people that are walking on the side of the road. But again, living up on the top of a mountain and off of 2 back dirt roads, there ain't traffic. There ain't really crazy people other than during hunting season. That's really just about it. But even still, it's not anything to scoff at. It's relaxing. It's seriously, like, kidding all aside, the beauty of it is kind of like the Hallmark movie, but yet you still get kind of the crazy people who do move from like out of state that are like, oh, I did see that Hallmark movie. It would be interesting to actually live out, out in the countryside in a small town, not a lot of people, basically like everybody in town's kind of family, it's like, wouldn't be that bad. Well, I hate to break it to you, but it's nothing like the Hallmark movie. Like, we ain't like, oh, well, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's my great-grandmother's secret pie recipe. Took me all night to bake, but here you go, and welcome to the neighborhood. It ain't anything of the sorts like that. Like, also, it's, cheaper to live with your parents than it is on your own, especially in today's world. Oh, don't even get me started on that. You know what? We're going to talk about it. I was looking at houses a little bit ago, and it is ridiculous. Just even like 2 to 5 acres of land is ridiculous amounts of money. I'm talking at least like 60 to 100,000. And you can't do anything to get a loan unless you have good credit and a good credit history. Like seriously. Yeah. It's nowhere near as easy as it was for my parents, my great-grandparents, my grandparents, my great-great-grandparents. It's insane. Unless you happen to have a shitload of money that you're sitting on that you could just be like, okay, yeah, I'll put $5,000 down. And it's like, all right, yeah, we'll give you about $2,000 for a loan. That's all we can do. But what if I put down $10,000? Well, then we'll give you $2,500. How does that sound? It's like, are you serious? Like, it was like before Christmas, I went to go apply for an auto loan just to see what I could get. And it was like, well, if we were to do a $10,000 loan, you'd have to come up with $6,000 of it to put it up front. I was like, why? And they're like, well, you don't have good credit and you don't have any credit history. And I'm like, okay, what can I do to fix it? Well, get a credit card. That'll help with your credit history and build your credit. And I'm like, all right, well, can I apply for a credit card? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Let me check it out. Oh, I couldn't because there was some fucking thing in collections that I had no idea about it until she ran the report, my financial advisor, and well, apparently that was causing some issues, so paid that off and then opened up a credit card and, well, built my credit up and everything, and now things are kind of getting better. I mean, actually being an adult and growing up and dealing with money and actually being on the right track and being smart about it. But it's stressful. But if I was living in the city, it'd be even more stressful. Being surrounded by all those fucking crazy people, and especially at nighttime, it just brought out the weirdos, and especially on full moons. At least over here on full moons, all you hear is like the coyotes. That's just about it. I don't know. Do you guys have any crazy moving stories? Anything crazy happened to you, like while moving, or while you had to move, or how many times you had to move? Oh yeah, how many times did I move? Okay, let's count this out. Okay, so starting from when I was a baby. So from when my parents first had me, I think we were living in a trailer park. Yep. So we went from a trailer park to a house. And then our house burnt down, so we lost that. So then we were staying with my Mimi and Papa for a minute. Then we went to a cabin on a lake. It was actually pretty nice. Then we went to stay with my grandparents on my mother's side because the cabin was only a seasonal rental. And they shut it down. They closed it all up for the winter. So that's 5. Then we went out to another place. That's 6. Then we came back to my hometown. Moved into my Papa's father's house. And then we moved into my Mimi and Papa's house after they had passed away. So that's a grand total. That's 8. And then I moved into a trailer with a co-worker of mine from previous factory job. Then I went from that trailer to my studio apartment that I call the closet and is referred to as the closet. And then I moved back with my parents. I moved 11 times. Holy fucking shit, did I move a lot. I don't want to move again. Moving sucks. Again, if you have some crazy stories about moving, please feel free to put it down in the comments. I would be very interested to hear anything that you have to say. Like, it could be even the craziest thing is like you thought you packed something, but then you realized that you didn't, or you purposely left something behind because you just didn't want to pack it, but then all of a sudden when you got to the new place, it happened to be there and it like freaked you out or something. Or even some spooky stories about like when you first moved into a place, or as you were leaving that you got this weird feeling, or like something broke, or like spooky spirits did some crazy shit or something. I don't know. It still gets me though. 11 fucking times I moved. When you sit down and count it, holy shit. How many times have you moved? Let me know in the comments. Any crazy stories? Put it in the comments. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you think it was worthwhile of a share it with your friends. If you want to subscribe and stay tuned and hit that bell, get notified when another podcast episode will get released, which hopefully I'm going to release it next week, next Friday. And that's going to be the special episode between me and the mongrel that I explained in episode 2. Very exciting stuff was talked in that episode, I tell you. It's definitely worth a listen, I tell you. I'm hoping to get back on track with these and everything. I know it's been quite some time, but some things happened and I didn't have the time, and now I've worked things out and I got the time again. So again, If you guys liked it, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe and stay tuned and hit that bell to get notified when the next episode comes up, do that as well. Again, comment some crazy stories. How many times you moved? Do you like moving? Do you hate moving? Do you prefer big towns, little towns, or the big city? You like living in the middle of nowhere, on grid, off grid? I've never lived off grid. I don't think I could ever do that, though, to be honest with you. I thought about it, but I don't think I ever could. Well, anyway, this has been Unfiltered Beer Tales. Again, I am your host, Clinton, but you all can call me Q. Have a good day.